This video is on the distributive property. So the distributive property, it basically just says if you have a number outside of the parentheses, you're going to distribute it with everything inside. So if a number's right outside the parenthesis, it means it's being multiplied by what's inside. So we're going to take this 3 outside our parenthesis and multiply it by all the terms inside. So we have 3 times 2. That was the number on the outside times the first term. Bring down the operation in the middle. Now we have 3 times 5. Okay, then I'm just going to reduce. Remember, you have to multiply before you add. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 3 times 5 is 15. And then combine, 6 plus 15 is 21. Okay, we're going to do the same thing over here. So this time the number's in the back. It doesn't matter. It's still multiplied by everything inside the parenthesis. So I'm going to multiply the 3 by each term inside the parentheses. This time I have subtraction in the middle, so I need to make sure I bring that down. So I have 3 times 7. Bring down that minus. Then we have 3 times 4. 3 times 7, 21, minus 3 times 4 is 12. Okay. So when we subtract, 21 minus 12 leaves us with 9. All right. Okay, so you can also rewrite a problem that's a little more difficult using the distributive property, and it makes it easier to solve. So I have 4 times 27, which I could multiply that out, but it's not the easiest. I can do mental math if I use the distributive property. So I'm going to bring down this 4, and I'm going to multiply it by something that will give me 27. Well, 25 times 4, I know off the top of my head, is 100. So I'm going to say if I break 27 down to 25 plus 2, I can easily do the mental math in my head. So now I can distribute this 4 on the outside, multiplying it by everything inside. 4 times 25 is 100. Bring down that plus. 4 times 2 is 8. And then I have 108. Okay, so that was an example of when I added 2 numbers together to get my larger term. Over here, we have 6 times 99. Again, I could write it out, put my numbers vertically and multiply. Or I can do 6 times some value that'll equal 99. Well, 100 is really close to 99, and well, 6 times 100, 600. And so I can just do 100 minus 1. 100 minus 1 gives me the value of 99. So I know that I can, when I actually multiply, do the distributive property, I will get my answer, which is 6 times 99. So I have 6 times 100 is 600. Bring down the minus. 6 times 1 is 6. So I'm left with 594, which is a whole lot easier than multiplying it out. All right, so here are 4 problems for you to go ahead and try. I'm going to zoom in a little. Go ahead and pause it here and then come on back for the answers. All right, so we have 3 times 5, 15, plus 3 times 9, 27. Okay, so then all you have to do is add them together, and we get 42. All right, over here we have 9 times 10. Again, I'm just distributing the number on the outside, minus 9 times 2. Okay, you have to multiply before you add or subtract. 9 times 10 is 90. Minus 9 times 2 is 18, which leaves me with 72. All right, so then the next two are ones that I can rewrite. Let's see, you can really pick any numbers to change it into. I can do 40 plus 3. I could do 50 minus 7, but I'm going to do 40 plus 3. All right, well, I know 3 times 4 is 12, so then I just add a 0 on to the end, so 120 plus 3 times 3 is 9, and 120 plus 9, 129. Okay, over here, well, 50 is awfully close to 49, so I'm going to do 7 times 50 minus 1 will give me 49. So, well, I can do 7 times 5, which gives me 35, add the 0 on the end. So 350 minus 7 times 1 is 7, and then I just reduce 350 minus 7, leaves me with 343. Okay, so the distributive property kind of makes things easier. All right, so now we're going to use a distributive property to solve expressions. Okay, so now we have variables involved. So again, I have a 3 on the outside. I'm going to multiply it by everything inside the parentheses. So I have 3 times x, bring down that plus, 3 times 2. As soon as you get used to what the distributive property is, you can go ahead and skip this step and just say 3 times x is just 3x. Remember, when you have a number right next to the variable, it means they're multiplied together. And the number always goes in front of the variable when you're multiplying. You'll never say x3. It'll always be 3x plus 6. And that's as simple as it can get, because remember, you cannot combine x terms with terms without an x. They are not like terms. All right, this one, we have the 5 on the outside. So I'm going to multiply it by both. So I have 5 times 3x minus 5 times x. So 5 times 3x. Okay, multiplying is different than adding and subtracting when you don't have to worry about like terms. You can just say 5 times 3 is 15, which is also multiplied by x, because this is basically 5 times 3 times x. So 5 times 3 is 15x minus 5 times x is just 5x. Now we're not done. They're both x terms, so we can combine them. 15x minus 5x leaves us with 10x. Remember, when you're combining like terms, they have to have the same variables, and the variables have to have the same exponents. And all you do is look at the coefficients and do 15 minus 5, leaves us with 10x. All right, now it gets a little more complicated. This one's about the same. So we have r times 2 plus r times r. All right, r times 2 is just 2r plus r times r. Well, remember when you square something, it means that you multiply it by itself. So r times r is just r squared. R squared is different than r, so they are not like terms. So you can't combine this any further. This is your final answer. All right, now over here, we have negative 7 times x. Don't forget that negative that's out there. Bring down that plus. Then we have negative 7 times 5. Bring down the minus. Negative 7. I like to put it in parentheses if it's right next to a minus, just so we realize that is a negative 7 times 3x. I like to put that in parentheses too when they're right next to each other like that. All right, negative 7 times x, negative 7x. All right, so we have negative 7 times 5, which is going to be negative 35. I can put plus negative 35, or I can just put minus 35. which is a little more reduced. Okay, I know that I'm going to have a minus and negative. I can deal with it in a minute, or I can deal with it now. I'm going to just bring down the minus. Negative 7 times 3, negative 21x. And again, because I have minus and negative, I'm going to put it in parentheses. All right, here, minus and negative. Change subtraction to addition. Change the sign of your second integer, or term in this case. I actually have like terms, so I have to simplify. All right, I have a negative 7x, and I have a plus 21x. Okay, so negative 7 plus 21 leaves me with positive 14x. Don't forget that x, because that's what we're dealing with. There are x terms. Then I'm going to bring over the minus 35. All right, so 4 more for you to try. Go ahead and try them out, and then come on back for the answers. Okay, so we have negative 2 times 7x minus negative 2 times 2. Most common mistake is to forget that we have both a minus and a negative. You can't leave one off. So negative 2 times 7x, negative 14x, minus negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. And I'm just going to change the subtraction to addition, change the sign of the second number, and we have negative 14x plus 4. Remember, you do want to reduce it as much as possible. All right, then we're going to distribute the 4x. This one's a little tricky. So we have 4x times x plus 4x times 3. All right, think of this as 4 times x times x. Well, x times itself is x squared, so 4 times x squared, which is just 4x squared, plus 4x times 3. Again, think of it as 4 times x times 3. So you can multiply the numbers together. 4 times 3 is 12, so we have 12x. All right, last two. All right, we have 3y times 4 minus 3y times y. Okay, multiply the numbers. 3 times 4 is 12, so we have 12y minus, again, y times y is y squared, so we have 3y squared. Again, think of it as 3 times y, if that helps. And last one, negative 9 times w plus negative 9 times 2 minus negative 9 times w squared. All right, so we have negative 9w. I'm going to put minus 18 because negative 9 times 2 is negative 18, and I don't like plus a negative. And remember, negative and minus mean the same thing. All right, I'm going to change this to plus a positive. So plus 9 times w squared is 9w squared. And that is reduced as much as possible. All right, hopefully you were able to distribute and then combine like terms.